Don't be afraid to have an opinion. That's right. Even if you think this show sucks, you should have an opinion. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is good to see you. This show is, of course, for small business owners, entrepreneurs, business owners really of any size. And it's funny that I often refer to my small business owners, and I've got people who come to me that have 10, 20, $30 million businesses, and they still consider themselves small business owners. So really business owners of any size, this show is for you. What am I talking about? Not being afraid to have an opinion. No, I'm reading this book right now called Content DNA by this guy, Jon Espirian. And he's a Brit, if I could glean from where he's from. He's in the UK, and he's got some really good information in here. Some stuff, I'll be honest with you, I have heard before. That said, some stuff, even though I have heard it before, am I doing it? Not necessarily. And it's not because I think it's bad advice. It's because sometimes you need to read stuff 2, 3, 4 dozen times before it starts to land. And so if this is stuff that you have heard before, it may seem a little basic, but answer the question, are you doing the basics? And that was a really good point that was brought up by Rachel Peterson in her book, Unfiltered. I actually wasn't planning on referencing her book, but I've got it right here. I keep them color-coded so I can find them fast. That is Rachel Peterson's book, Unfiltered. But one of the things that she talked about in her book, and I'm not going to get too far down that rabbit hole, was how she was teaching someone in a class, and the person was not real happy. They were kind of thinking the information that she was teaching was very basic. So she said, oh, okay, well, are you doing the basics? And of course, they didn't have the results that they wanted, and they were like, well, no. And she's like, well, don't you think you should do the basics before you're looking for more advanced stuff if you're not even getting the results that you want from a basic level? So really hit me in the mouth with some truth there. And this is what I feel with Content DNA with Jon Espirian. So if you are any sort of content creator, I think it's a really good read. There was one point in here that I thought that he made such a really good point, and that's not being afraid to have an opinion. And that it's interesting because the irony that I just read, I've been on a Dan Kennedy kick lately, and have read several of his books kind of back to back. I read Almost Alchemy. I read The Ultimate Sales Letter a long time ago. It's interesting because I did not realize that they were the same author, because the tonality of both of those books was very different. But Almost Alchemy was a really good book, and The Ultimate Sales Letter was good as well, but good in different ways. But the interesting thing about when I'm looking at the other book that I had recently read was called Magnetic Marketing. And Jon Espirian makes a really good point about being magnetic in your marketing. And he said, well, keep in mind that a strong magnet, right? They will attract they'll attract metals, they'll attract things that they're looking for, right? But they also repel. So magnets not only attract, but they also repel. And that's such a good point, and that your marketing should be magnetic, and that attracts who you're looking for and it repels on who you don't. And to do that, you have to have an opinion. You have to stand for something. If you try to be too vanilla and please all the masses, you're not going to attract the people that you want, because you're not standing out. It's like you're just another cow in the herd, right? Versus a purple cow is actually going to stand out. And he brought that point up in that book when he was giving props to another author. But here's what I'm saying, though, is that don't be afraid to be divisive. And I'm going to be a little divisive right now. When I kind of dance around this a little bit, but when I'm in front of a room specifically, and I'll be honest with you, I like working with married business owners that have families, generally that have kids at home. Why is that? Because I know those problems. I know those problems really well. Now, does it mean that I won't work with someone unless they are married and if they're living together? No, it's just I like working with married couples because I know the institution of marriage is not easy, especially if you're married to a business owner. And it's even more difficult if you're married to the business owner and involved in the business with the business owner. So, where you're co-owning that business with your spouse. And going to drop another divisive truth bomb here is that I really like working with Christian married business owners who have kids at home. And why is that? Because again, I feel that I understand as being a Christian, and I haven't been a Christian I've been a Christian my whole life, but I've kind of had a whole new slant on things since my wife and I have reconciled, in that I understand what it's like to be under attack as a Christian. I just get that. So again, don't be afraid to be divisive. Now, is that going to immediately turn people off and turn people away and give me a thumbs down on this video? By the way, if you give me a thumbs down on the video, that actually does not hurt me. It actually just helps the algorithm. So it actually just, it's going to show up, so you know more of these videos will actually show up on your feed. So it actually doesn't hurt me as much as you think. And there's still some haters that I get that for whatever reason, they go on my videos and give me thumbs down, but I get more thumbs up than thumbs down. So whatever. But my point is that that's okay, because that's just telling that individual that it's letting them know that it's not, that it doesn't resonate well with them. Now, if I had a video with 100 thumbs down and I've only got 74 followers, that's going to be a problem. So I just want you to understand that it's okay to be divisive. And if you are too divisive, you go too far out and you start isolating even people away from the tribe that you're trying to attract, well, that's a problem. So and don't be divisive just for the sake, like don't pick a fight just for the sake of picking a fight. Make sure you're drawing a line in the sand around something that matters to you, something where it's attracting your ideal avatar. You know specifically who they are. You know, for me, I just like working with that avatar of business owners who are married, because I understand the busyness that their life has become. And many times it's really hard for them to not be caught up in the comparison trap, to not being caught up in a trap of feeling that they're not good enough or not worthy enough, or they should be focusing on other things to impress people that really don't even care about them that much. Or if they're being honest with themselves, they're trying to impress people that they don't even really care about. So that's the thing that I really like. So as I'm continuing to work on the Time Wealthy Advantage, and I'm going to try to grind out and get that book done this year, that's really the focus of who I'm working towards and who I really want to attract into my tribe. So be divisive. Don't be afraid to have an opinion. And even if that opinion does chase some people away, that's okay. Not everybody's going to like you. And the sooner you become okay with that is the sooner you're going to start to attract more people that you really want to work with, and chasing away the people that you don't. All right, everybody, that is all I have for today. So please place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. And you guys take good care. We'll see you next time.